All right, everybody, welcome back to the Self-Love series with me, Cassatiga, where our goal is to spread and share self-love through others and their stories. Today we have a guest that really needs no introduction, but because he is here, we will introduce him. He is a YouTube pro in my eyes. He is his own business owner, and he is somebody that I feel has just, I don't know, the qualities and things that more people in this world need when it comes to self-love. And so that's why I was so excited to have him here on the series. And that is Kona. Kona, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I wish everybody could experience the smell of your house.
Thank you. And so just to start off, tell those that don't know you yet, which I know may not be a lot of people, but for those that don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, what you do, and what inspired you to do that.
Well, I'm Kona. A lot of people actually used to know me by Coco because that's the name that I used to go by for years, on my old YouTube channel. But now I'm just, I feel like within the past 2 years, I would say I completely did a 180 in life. I was working in cosmetics for 6 years. I had an old YouTube channel where I used to do YouTube videos, beauty videos. And then within the past, I would say 2 years, my last year living in Vegas, I started to just feel frustrated about where I was in life, working, for other people. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like I was in prison, and I've always cherished time and valued time. So I started to just research things on what's gonna free up time for me to do what I want to do. If I want to go on vacation, I don't want to have to request time off or wait to get it approved. I just felt like I wasn't living my best life. So coming into now, I just learned all of this information about credit, finance, literally everything. Luckily I had amazing mentors in Hawaii, my cousins, who taught me all these things, which is why I moved there for a few short months. And then I just realized that I had all of this knowledge, that I knew could help so many people, and how selfish of me, if I wasn't helping mm-hmm. people with that knowledge or charging people for knowledge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got started to where I am now. Last year I opened my own business, helping people with their credit, and entertaining them with education at the same time. And yeah, for the past year and a half, I've been pretty much doing that.
Awesome. And what is your advice you would give to, if you had to give one tip on where to start, mm-hmm. For someone that is struggling with their credit, what would be your one tip to
take a breath, because it's just credit. Literally, your credit score is just a number. It's just an algorithm. And you can literally change your credit score, if you know how to, mm-hmm. With, a dispute or two, or credit utilization. For me, I could care less about my credit score, mm-hmm. whether it's at a 700 or a 500, because I know that I have the knowledge to fluctuate that number when I need it. And if I need it, does that make sense? So if somebody is struggling, just breathe. It's just a number.
Yeah. And also they can then contact you, which is your business name is what?
Fair Credit Firm.
Fair Credit Firm. Yes. Awesome. And so with what you were talking about, it made me think about rebranding, because essentially that's kind of what you've done with, you had a big following, mm-hmm. And your channel, which was more catered towards the beauty industry. And then you no longer felt passionate about that anymore, and wanted to do something completely different, essentially. And rather than keeping that same channel and just starting new content, mm-hmm. you felt called to handle it and do it of what it is now, of having your new channel and pursuing what you feel passionate about sharing now. How do you feel because I feel for a lot of people, they get so stuck in, just like you said, with time, that I feel is something that everyone can relate to being important. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I feel and I was there at one time too, you feel you invest so much time in something. And so when the thought comes to your mind, when you no longer feel passionate about it, of stopping it and starting something brand new, I feel there's so many feelings, like overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The thought of starting all over, like you just doubt yourself, things like that. When you think of the possibility of being able to build the success of what you've built in what you're already in. So do you have like any advice on how you were able to like do that? And just what I mean? Like just because it can be such a scary and overwhelming thing.
It is. It's a scary thing. And like, I mean, I went to school for makeup. I was a makeup artist for 6 years. I was doing makeup videos for a few years. And so for me to like realize that it wasn't making me happy anymore, and that I needed a change for like my mental health. I didn't even question twice about deleting my old channel or quitting my cosmetic job and pursuing the scary task of starting your own business. But I think it just takes persistence. Like you just have to be, you have to be sure of yourself to literally quit everything that you've been doing for 6 years and then start fresh in a completely different field. I used to beat my face. I used to wear makeup 24/7 every day. I used to do other people's makeup, and I just went through like a cleanse. If it's anything good that came out of Hawaii, because I gained like 100 pounds when I moved there. If it's anything good that came out of Hawaii, I felt like it was like a cleanse for me. Like I went there, I was learning all of this knowledge from my cousins. And then I just realized that there was just way more to life than like doing what like other people want you to do. Because I feel like for so long with cosmetics, and I still get people ask me today, like, why did I leave? Like upset that I left pretty much. And I'm just like, I wasn't happy. Like I truly wasn't happy working in cosmetics or making cosmetic videos. So, I mean, like I said, I just feel like you just have to be sure of yourself and don't second guess. If you feel like it's what you need, then do it. And I feel like that's one of my strengths is my persistence in like, if I realize something, like, bye.
Yes.
I'm done.
That's awesome.
Whether it's people or jobs or anything. Like I love my ability to ghost anything and anyone.
That's a talent, because not a lot of people have that, and they really struggle and have anxiety over that, which I totally get. But I think that's so true, and I love everything you said, because I think first you have to like trust your gut, like your intuition. When you just feel like it isn't it anymore, regardless of all the like what ifs, you have to think of what the good can come from following what just inside you feel that you need to do, even if it's just knowing that you have to quit. Like I think just starting with recognizing when something is draining you and not making you happy, and making the decision to walk away and start something new, even until you then are able to grasp what else you're going to start doing and putting all your energy in. I think that that's like the biggest thing, and it's the hardest thing, is just making that step. But I feel like it makes the biggest difference, because I was the same in my previous like job, which I thought was a career that I always wanted to do growing up. And I started it like at a young age, before I had even graduated, and then did it for like 9 years and was doing well. But it was like draining, and it didn't make me happy. I made good money, and because of that, and just because of how much time I put into it, I was just like, the fact of leaving it made me sick. But like my husband is the same as you, to where he's just like, it doesn't matter, just like quit today and we'll figure something else out. Like nothing is worth your happiness or like your peace. It takes a special kind
of person to have that mentality.
Right. So I love that, but I feel like that in itself is like self-care and investing in yourself and your peace and happiness, to like detach yourself from things that don't make you happy. And a lot of people don't tie that to work or your career, because they think that it's something, it's almost that, to where it's almost made to be like a permanent thing, to where there's people that have had so many different passions throughout their life, and that's fine. I think that's the thing, is that that's not said enough, especially to kids, like when it comes to school and things like that, is that's perfectly fine if you put all your time and energy into this and then it changes and you do something else. I think that that is the beautiful thing about experiencing life, is you can do so many different things, and try all different stuff. And that doesn't mean that that's not your passion. It just means that your passion isn't your whole, like your passion doesn't have to be your whole life.
I'm like burping out of the microphone. Is not catching. Like, cut this out. My gosh.
I hope that it came through. I hope that it's that laser
My
sharp.
throat is making a weird gargling noise, and I'm like, what the hell did I eat today? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But I'm just happy that you brought that up.
Yeah.
And with what you said and how you ended it off goes in exactly to the whole point of this episode. And why I wanted you on is because I feel like being authentic is such like a buzzword on social media, especially Instagram for influencers right now. Everyone talks about that and being like intentional or authentic with your content or things that you share. And I feel like a lot of people like misperceive it just to be saying or doing what you want to do whenever you want to do it. But I think that it is that. But I feel like the part that's always left out and that people struggle with is doing those things without caring how other people perceive you or what they're going to think about it, and just doing things unapologetically because you feel like that's what you want to do and you feel inspired by doing or sharing whatever it is. And I feel like we haven't known each other long. We're new to being friends and following each other, but I feel like that rings true for you in everything that you do. And you do say what you want to say and you share what you think and how you feel, but you do it in a way that is being authentic to yourself and not caring what other people are going to say. And I know you've shared before, like some of the hate and stuff like that you've gotten on just your different social media platforms.
Yeah, everything.
So yes. So I wanted you on here just to talk about that experience with you, how you've gotten to the point of being able to be that way, of not letting other people's perceptions or opinions get to you and weigh you down. So if you could talk about that and your journey and getting to that point.
Yeah, so I feel like that's kind of like a double-ended like thing, you know, because when it comes to like not caring about what people think about you or the perceptions of others, I do, but I don't. And I think there's like a art to caring what people say, but not exactly what you said, not carrying it on your shoulders. Because if I'm being 100% real, like I take into consideration what everybody says, whether it be constructive or not.
Yeah.
But I feel like it is part of like self-love is like I love myself enough to be able to listen to what other people are saying about me, deciphering whether it's constructive criticism or just being negative and throwing that away. And so I feel like I went through a phase in my life a few years ago working in cosmetics and with my old channel where I felt like not caring about what people thought about me was being rude, was being, how do I say it? Was being reckless. Until I had an experience in Vegas when I lived in Vegas. Just a quick little story. Because it kind of ties into the whole caring about what people think about you or their perceptions. I went to a club in Vegas with my friends.
Yeah.
And we were in my car and we were intoxicated. But at the bar, like if you know anything about me, like I'm kind of stubborn. Like I can be stubborn. So if I'm not ready to leave or like go to the next bar, like I'm not going. And so I was like, they wanted to go and I was like, no. They took my car keys and they were waiting in my car for probably an hour for me because I was still, you know, doing my thing in there. And the next morning, fast forward to the next morning, I was checking the dash camera on my car because I have a dash camera. I've always had a dash camera in my car. Records sound, records video in the car and out of the car. And I just had this feeling that like they were saying stuff about me, you know, and these are my 3 closest friends in Vegas. And so I tapped into the video of the dash cam of that night while I was in the club and they were waiting for me in my car. They had no idea I had a dash cam or that it recorded sound. And I'm not going to say what they were saying about me just because I feel like it's a little personal.
Yeah.
But what they were saying about me was true. And I was too stubborn at that point. And I was like, I was so full of myself back then. And I was like, nothing's wrong with me. They're being idiots. But then I really had to take a step back and be like, okay, these are like my 3 friends that I like absolutely love in Vegas.
Yeah.
What they're saying about me is like affecting them, you know? And yeah. So I kind of took that experience as like, that was a wake up call for me to be like, okay, well, I don't care what people say about me usually, but what they're saying is actually true. It's constructive. And so I literally worked on that since that day and we're still good friends to this day.
I love that. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So I feel like it is a whole self-love thing because, I mean, at the time, you know, I was struggling a little bit with in the self-love category. So I feel like self-love is, you know, caring what people say about you and like, but not carrying it on your shoulders, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does make sense. And I love that you brought that up because I feel like naturally, and especially if you're wanting to be successful, I feel like you have to a certain extent, like you said, take into considerations others' thoughts and feelings, whether it be like through constructive criticism or things like that. But yeah, that was definitely more so what I meant in the focus of not letting it weigh you down, of continuing to do what you want to do. So when you do get like the hateful comments from people that do not know you, like on your social media accounts, how are you able to like tune that out and not let it like affect you and shut you down from continuing to like share and post and do all of that?
I feel like it's a learning process for sure. Like back when I started my first channel, the comments used to get me down and I used to receive a lot of hate. So I feel like I said, it's just a self-love thing. Like I didn't love myself enough back then to realize that what they were saying wasn't true. Now I have, you know, enough self-love to realize that, you know, whatever comments that people are writing on the internet does not pertain to me at all. And so I don't even like, I literally just don't let it affect me. Like I could read anything about me right now and it will not affect me.
Yeah.
And I think that just, you know, came from my whole self-love journey.
Yeah. And so do you mind getting into a little bit more of your self-love journey? Because I feel like it's levels for everyone.
For sure.
You know, like you getting to that point, there was things that led up to that to help you even get there and be able to receive kind of your understanding that you did from there. But could you take it back a little further for us on your self-love journey?
Oh yeah, we could go way back to Granger High School, 2010. I feel like that's where my whole, like taking it back, that's where my whole love self journey began. I was trying to figure out who I was, you know, in high school, dealing with high school kids. I just didn't quite know where I stood in the world, if that makes sense. And so I went through, how personal are we going to get? I went through just a lot of personal things in high school that made me appreciate like life today. Like the reason I am so like strong-minded and like persistent is because I know how it feels to be at rock bottom, truly rock bottom. And so I'm so protective of my energy and my space now. Just because I'm fearful of ever going back to that place.
Yeah.
And I struggled with a lot in high school. If anybody knew me in high school, I was looking psycho. But I went through a lot. Like, I don't know if I should say this.
You can say whatever you feel called to say.
Well, you know what? I feel like it's going to help somebody.
Yeah,
so,
that's always the goal, one person.
In high school, I struggled a lot with eating and eating disorder and body image issues that, to be honest, I'm still dealing with today. But I feel like as you grow older and through your experiences, you just know how to deal with it and maintain it better, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
You're fine.
Sorry.
You're fine. So you struggle with that starting in high school of like body image and things like that. And so what helped you to, what do you feel like got you out of that? I mean, I know it's like hard. I feel like it's something you're never fully like clear and cured of. But what helped you to change like the habits and things that you were doing in recognizing that you were like spiraling?
I think it was just, I mean, honestly, when it comes to like the whole self-love thing, like you can tell somebody how much they're worth and like help them every way you can, but I feel like the only thing that's going to help a situation like that is time, and developing like mental skills to realize that what you go through in life isn't going to define you. You know what I mean? And I feel like at the time, like I barely knew who I was in high school, barely knew. So I feel like that had a lot to do with it, is because I felt like I didn't have control of like my sexuality or like things that were just going on in high school. But one thing that I could control was, you know, my weight through my diet. And so I feel like it just took me realizing that I don't need to be in control of everything. You know what I mean? To finally like realize that. Sorry.
You're fine. No, you're totally making sense.
Am I?
That makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And I feel like with that too, it comes from not only realizing you don't need to control everything, but also like the extremes that sometimes we feel we have to go to like prove ourselves.
Yeah.
Or things like that where it can just lead to like a negative.
Yeah, literally a spiral of an endless pit. So I just feel like what has helped me like maintain it is just time.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oh, that's awesome. And I feel like that's the hardest thing to hear, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And that time can like bring healing and realization of a lot of things. And yeah, like I love that you brought up that you can tell people this and that, like when you know they're going through something, but it's that same thing. You just have to give them time because they're not going to hear it and it's not going to register until they're in that space to even accepting it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's a big thing. And I think that's really hard too, especially for like the high school or junior high age. I feel like at that age, you are trying so much to feel like you belong just in itself of being that age. I mean, layer on top of that, like sexuality, things like that would make it even harder. But I feel like at that age, they feel so much pressure to belong and feel accepted in certain areas. And so just, I think, realizing that there's so much more time that you have. You don't need to know those
it's not
things.
The end of the world.
Right. And things in college you will see as you, or in high school, you will see as you get older are just like
minor compared to where we are now. I'm like, really?
It's just
I was
an
heartbroken
anthill.
over that.
Even if it's like you had the worst things happen in high school, you still grow up and see how those things, you were just in such a learning phase of life still.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's just
fragile beings.
Everything that feels like life then is like so silly as you get older.
And I realize now that like it's okay to like not know who you are or not be comfortable with yourself. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
It's literally not the end of the world.
Right. And I think not knowing, but just trying different things, being around different groups of people, I think that's what helps you to then know like what sticks for you, what feels right, things like that. But you don't know it unless you try those different things. And that is perfect because that ties into what I wanted to ask your thoughts on, of when it comes to people getting in the rut of acting out of inspiration and taking whatever inspiration from people that they're around or people that they follow or watch versus like imposter syndrome or like, do you know what I mean by saying that? Like being inspired versus being an imposter.
Yeah, so imposter syndrome is interesting. I mean, it affects like 70% of people who take on, 70% of people in general. So I feel like there's a fine line between just acting out of inspiration and being an imposter. It's very clear. Oh my God, sorry, what was the question?
You're fine. Imposter versus inspired. Just your thoughts on that. So you were saying that 70% of people are affected by that.
Yes.
And you were saying that there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a fine line between, I think it's just like taking like an idea and making it your own, rather than, literally like taking someone else's idea and everything that they're doing with it. I mean, it's the whole reason there's businesses today. Like if everybody suffered from imposter syndrome and was like afraid to like do what they were passionate about, even if someone's done it before you, there'd be no businesses in life. There'd be no creators. So yeah, I think it's a funny thing.
Yeah. I think people get caught up and worried on it because they think that they're passionate about that same type of thing, that by doing it, they're going to be viewed as that way.
Yeah.
But everyone, whether we realize it or not, has a different voice and they think differently. Not everyone thinks the exact same. So even though, just like the beauty industry, there was how many like successful beauty influencers and YouTubers to where they all did beauty and makeup, but everyone was different and their personalities were different. So I think that's something good and something a lot of people forget about is, right, it's all just how you go about that inspiration.
I mean, the whole beauty community was built up on people being inspired, and yes, some imposters in there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly like you were just saying, just literally make it your own. Get creative.
Yeah.
And yeah.
For sure. I love that. And then also just what would then be like your advice to somebody that is struggling with the opinions of other people, and feeling like it's getting them down and keeping them from like pushing forward and doing what they want to do, or even just maybe it's the voices in their head making them feel like they are going to be an imposter or things like that? What would be your advice to them on just to quiet down the negativity, the opinions, and just doing what they want to do and being true to themselves?
Yeah, you know, and the sad thing is I know many people like this who have so many like dreams and passions of doing things, but they don't because they're literally like crippled of fear by what people are going to think about them or what people are going to say about what they're doing. So my advice to them would honestly, I mean, this one's kind of like a tough one because it's easy for me to sit here and say like, you just don't care. Like, who cares, you know? But everybody has their own like mental process that they go through their head. But honestly, I just feel like if it's one thing I could tell people is we could literally die tomorrow. And I think that's what fueled some of my like passion to even stronger is when my grandma passed away 2 years ago. We fought a lot and argued a lot, but we were close.
Yeah.
But I felt like she passed away so sudden, and she had so many things that she wanted to do in life, so many places that she wanted to go. And then one day she died of cardiac arrest. And at her funeral, I was like, oh my God, like it just like resonated with me and made me realize that we could literally die tomorrow. And so I am going to do everything in my power to accomplish what I want to accomplish and do what I want to do. And the opinions of other people is literally minuscule in my life.
Right.
So just realize that you could die tomorrow. So just do it.
Exactly.
You know?
Because when you're, I mean, say it's a different situation and you're actually just sitting on your deathbed, you know it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to sit and like think of all the things people have said about you or worry about people's opinions, or are you going to be regretting everything you didn't do because of that exact reason, because you were scared or worried of others' thoughts? When how is that helping you at that moment? You know,
it terrifies me every day, death. And I think about death every day, not in like a cynical, like evil kind of way, but like I think about death almost every day because I don't know when my last day on earth is going to be. Nobody knows. But I use that to fuel my passion and persistence in what I'm doing.
I love that. That's so amazing. And I think that is such great advice because I think it's something that everyone could easily apply to themselves to like really think about.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. And so I'm wanting to just try something like a little bit new of like doing a TBH moment. And so we'll just start the TBH moment with you. And so the first thing, some things are simple and some things aren't. And I know you already mentioned something which may be your one thing. But so the first TBH is what you love most about yourself.
Like physical?
Let's do both.
Okay.
What you love physically most about yourself and then like intellectually.
Physical, I would have to say my hair.
Yes.
And the fact that I still have it because my dad is bald and growing up it was always my worst fear to be bald. No offense to bald people, we don't discriminate over here. But like it's just been my worst fear. And so I'm always like cautious about my hair and like even if I just find one strand of hair, I'm like panicking. But then I was like doing research and I heard like it skips generations.
Oh,
so
it does?
hopefully I'm okay.
Wow,
but now I'm thinking like maybe I should buy my nieces and nephews Rogaine for Christmas next year. They're
it's
like
better to start
14.
early. Prevention.
So probably that's one of my favorite physical things.
Love that. And then non-physical.
Non-physical, I would have to say my persistence. And like if I set my mind to do something, I'm going to do everything in my power to do it. And I feel like it's one of my favorite things because I had to learn that. Like I haven't always had that. It was a learning process. And now that I have it, I'm like strong in that. Does that make sense?
For sure. And then the next TBH is, what is your favorite form of healthy self-care? And then like your guilty pleasure self-care.
Healthy self-care. My favorite is probably just traveling.
Yeah.
Traveling for me is literally the best way for me to clear my mind, the best way to just get away and reset. Like I feel like a lot of people in life need that reset, but also a lot of people in life don't get that reset, which leads to a lot of the issues that people have today. So healthy self-care, traveling.
I love that.
Guilty pleasure.
But still considered a self-care must sometimes.
This was a tough one.
Yeah.
Probably 2 fish tacos from Ranchitos. With midnight. No refried beans and extra rice. At midnight.
I love that. Awesome. What's your favorite Ranchitos location?
Honestly, whatever one I'm close to.
Okay, so you don't worry about
I would go to the
one
where that guy was peeing at. If it's the only one in town.
I guess they're going to be more worried about people being worried about that. So maybe it's made them step their cleanliness up.
I kind of feel the same. Like right after a bad incident happened, that's when they're the cleanest. You know?
Right.
Like,
they know that their people are watching.
Exactly.
So that's true. I can't wait to try them. And then this TBH is a real TBH of, what are your thoughts when it comes to the self-love movement right now? Because I feel like it's kind of like a trending thing, you know, and it covers so many different like opinions and perspectives and things like that. So maybe, what do you think about it? What are some annoyances that you have when it comes to it?
Well, I first of all just want to say that I am all for self-love, like period. No matter how you view it or what you think that is. But some annoyances that I have, I feel like a lot of people use the self-love movement to just be indecent, if that makes sense. And as an excuse to, what's the word? As an excuse to, sorry.
No, you're fine. Kind of like the Lizzo thing. Is that what you mean? So elaborate on that specifically, because everyone knows that. So like with her outfit choice to the game. Right.
And I feel like
kind of on every appearance she has. Actually.
Every like her presence. You know? And I feel like her being a plus size woman in the entertainment industry is self-love enough. That shows people, you know, that maybe are struggling with their weight. That
not feeling seen, that they are by her being on that platform.
Exactly. So I feel like her presence is enough, but when it comes to like her outfit choices and some of the things, and this is just my opinion, oh my god, I'm gonna receive hate probably.
You're fine.
I feel like it's just an excuse to be vulgar. A lot of people use the self-love movement as an excuse to just be vulgar and just to like, as an excuse. I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with not caring about what people think about you, but in a reckless way. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people use the self-love movement for
I agree.
That. Yeah.
Because maybe you mentioned it too in one of your videos, just like Amber Rose's.
Like Amber Rose's slut walk.
Yeah. I feel like it's
what
the
are you
same
empowering women with by walking around in public naked?
Exactly. Or no like sense. Girls growing up. Like what is your underlying message that people are getting when they're watching or seeing
exactly.
it?
What is that teaching young girls? Right. You know, this is a complex issue.
No, but I get what you're saying. And I feel like people will get that to an extent because we see where kind of like of some point of views of why those things are important or being done. But again, it's just like, I don't know how further to because I fully get what you're saying. Yeah. And I agree.
Like, what is her name? That from The Biggest Loser, the trainer who just made those comments
Jillian Michaels.
Yeah.
Yes.
I found absolutely nothing wrong with her comments towards Lizzo. Some people might disagree. I think what made it like a little shocking or what made her statements a little shocking is maybe how she said it, you know, like I feel like it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
100%.
But what she said was 100% true. Like, and you know, there's a lot of bigger people in the Polynesian community as well that, you know, okay, cut that out.
No, just say it.
Back up.
You're fine. No, I totally get it. I don't even remember fully what she said. But I think, period, and in general, like, self-love, is about loving and accepting yourself as you are now. But I feel like there always has to be accountability in it as well. So you have to know that being unhealthy is not fully loving yourself and your body and appreciating it like you should. And that's, not an overday thing. It doesn't happen in a week or a month. It's something that takes time. But you have to recognize, like, just like you talked about in your journey and in a different way, but you have to be able to recognize when there's unhealthy patterns or things that are being done that are destructive to yourself, and knowing what you can do to stop it and to be better, to be healthier, because when you're healthier, you're just happier.
Right. Exactly.
So, and that just feeds the self-love. So I think, that is an important thing. And I feel like that's mainly what she was saying. Is I don't feel like she's not a fan of Lizzo or doesn't think she's great.
Think she loves Lizzo.
But just like everyone else, like, I love her and I cry whenever I listen to her music in the car because it makes me feel good. But I definitely agree too, just whether it's her or anyone, that recognizing that being healthy is what's important. Right.
And I think it just goes back to what I said earlier, is you should have enough self-love to realize that what you're doing isn't self-love. It's reckless, if that makes sense.
Right. I feel like it's just like self-medicating another problem that you're not addressing.
Right. So I love the self-love movement. So I love the self-love movement. Say that word. So I love the self-love movement as a whole. Like, I love what it stands for, but what I don't agree with is people using the self-love movement as a blanket for other things.
I agree. 100%. Love that. And then just the last thing, I know I usually bring it up, but maybe if you want to think of just when it comes to being like authentic, and just overall like tying that in with self-love, what do you think could be a good call to action that people can do, just this week to help them better practice self-love and self-care?
Call to action, like, can you explain that a little more?
Something that they, like, an actionable, like, tool or to do that they can do, like, this week. That's going to be something simple, that will help lead them further in progressing, like, with their self-love.
I would probably say a good call to action this week would be to literally sit down with a piece of paper and a pen or pencil and write down everything that's stopping you from doing what you want to do in life.
Yes.
And then keep that and, like, go through that list and ask yourself if it's worth it. If these things on this piece of paper is worth me not living my true life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that so much. That's so good. And I definitely hope that people do that. Let us know in the comments or message us and let us know if you try this call to action and how it helps you, what you realize. Kona, before we wrap up, can you let people know where they can follow and find you if they don't already?
Instagram and YouTube at Konafaam.
Awesome. And thank you so much for being here. You're so amazing. And I hope that those watching were able to take something from this and from Kona to better accept being yourself as you are and pursuing and following things that you feel passionate and called to do and share. And also just going through, like he said, the list of things that are holding you back from doing those things and really just evaluating if they're worth not doing what you feel inspired to do. And other than that, we will see you next time. Thank you.